Climate change, for sure. Yeah, definitely climate change. I mean, the changing weather systems is changing the way we behave. It's changing societies. The pressure it's creating in terms of the effect on resources is really affecting our societies very, very detrimentally. Climate change is linked directly to resources. I mean, the big problem today in society is the inequality of resource distribution. So we have a real challenge in terms of people having equal access to the resources they need, and we have a system that doesn't do that. Education helps a lot, but I think also reform in political systems helps a lot too. In the UK, for example, we need major political reform in terms of accountability for decision makers back to the people. So at the moment I don't think democracy really works. So I think that's one major change we have to make, is how to help people be able to be more responsible for their lives and not give away their power to other people without feeling their own power. I think we have to learn how to do a democracy in which people can play a real role. I mean, at the moment in parliamentary democracy we have representatives, but the system doesn't make those representatives and the decisions that are made truly accountable back to the people. So for example, in the UK we don't have proportional representation, we don't have citizens' forums where people can actually work directly together with the politicians to come up with solutions. And also the executive body is very disaggregated from citizens. The decision-making processes that they use are not inclusive. Which architects would inspire me? Actually, surprisingly, Donald Schoen, the reflective practitioner, because at an individual level he forces us to take responsibility for our own actions by reflecting on what we do, and in a way that's like an individual mirror of the accountability that society has to have to itself. From the point of view of capitalism, there is a major agenda to actually speed everything up in order to extract more value. So the education system is also moving to 24/7 and also trying to increase the amount of things and value that it can get out of any particular minute. So I think there needs to be a resistance to actually slow down education and slow down productivity so that we can live within our means and so that we can take the time to actually think more clearly. I think education has become very reactive rather than proactive. My own personal resistance is to try and empower people in their own homes and try and help them to help themselves understand how to use their homes more sustainably. But at an educational level, I'm very interested in the translation between research and the effect that has on people, how to communicate that in such a way that people can actually use it. There's a dilemma between trust and transparency. Transparency means being able to not only access the information that you need to know, but also knowing that you can access information that is not necessarily affecting you immediately, but does have an effect on the framework of education. So decisions made by leaders, for example, I think it's very helpful if everyone can see what's actually happening. But it's a dilemma, because at the same time, if we have too much transparency and not enough trust, then the system becomes overloaded with accountability. If you bring the transparency, you have to bring some form of agency attached to it so that people can actually act on the information they get. I think all three of those things are intimately interrelated: climate change, democracy and transparency. One of the things that's happening today in terms of climate change is there's a lot of misinformation around, but at the same time, scientific elites are, in theory, making their information available, but in a way it's not particularly transparent because the way in which it's communicated is not in a way that other people can access. So, for example, if you take the International Climate Change Panel reports, people are not going to read 600 pages. My whole drive is for life, and right now I see life under threat. I think that resilience comes through diversity, so every bone in my being is about how can we educate for diversity, how can we research for diversity, because the foundation of evolution is through diversity, not through homogeneity. And at the moment, society, globalization in so many ways is homogenizing. So my research is primarily, and my teaching is to try and help people to understand how they can live resourcefully, sustainably and resiliently in place, in a specific place, not just anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell more, or it's okay for you?